In this video, I'm looking at simplifying these surds. Now, simplifying means trying to get the number under the radical sign, under the square root sign, as small as possible. To be able to do this, we basically want to try and find the largest square number that is a factor of the number under the square root. So our squared numbers are the numbers that if we go through our numbers and square them, they're our squared numbers. So if I take 2 and square it, I get 4. And if I take 3 and square it, I get 9. And if I take 4 and square it, I get 16. And it just goes up from there. 25, 36, 49. What's that? 7 squared, so 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 100. And that just goes on and on and on and on and on. So we want to find what is the biggest one of these numbers that is a factor of these numbers here. So let's start by looking at part A. So we have the square root of 8. So we can write 8 as 8 can be 4 times 2 if we go through our squared numbers, but it can't be 9 times anything. So this is going to be the square root of 4 times 2. Now the reason this helps is if we now go and use our fifth index law, we can separate the square root out and we can have the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. And so now we can actually calculate what the square root of 4 is. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 2 root 2. And that's it. That's square root of 8 simplified, so it's got the smallest possible number under the square root. So now let's have a look at part B. So we have the square root of 108. Now this one's not as easy. So if we have a look at 108, we can see that we can try and have a look at 4. We get 4 times 27 is 108. We can have a look at 9. 9 times 12 is 108. 16 is not a factor. 25 is not a factor. But 36 is. 36 times 3 is 108. And I'm going to say this is our biggest one, considering it's only being multiplied by a small amount. So we're going to have the square root of 36 times 3. So we can then write this as the square root of 36 times the square root of 3. And this gives us that 6 times 6 is 36, so we have 6 root 3. Is the square root of 108 simplified. Okay, now having a look at part C, we have the square root of 384. So if we have a look at 384, it is 4 times 96. It is also 16 times 24, and it is also 64 times 6. So they're our square factors. So we're going to take 64 times 6 because it's the biggest. So we take square root of 384. Whoops. Square root of 384 is the same as the square root of 64 times 6. So that's going to give us the square root of 64 times the square root of 6, which gives us the square root of 64 is 8 because 8 eighths are 64, root 6. And then the last one is we have, I'll do it over here, part D, is we have 4 root 45. Now if we have a number out the front already, that doesn't stop us working this out as we have been. It just means the fact that we have a bit of multiplication to do at the end. So 45 is 9 times 5. So we got 4 times the square root of 9 times 5. So that means that we can now take 4 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 5, which gives us 4 times 3 times square root of 5, and now we have 12 root 5 is 4 root 45 simplified.